Every football dynasty begins with a dreamer, someone who refuses to settle for mediocrity, someone who thrives in chaos and turns it into a legacy. The Sir Alex Ferguson.
I think that in terms of the history of our club, we should have won it more, and I wanted to win it more again.
That journey began not under the bright lights of Old Trafford, but in the gritty shipyards of Glasgow. Born on December 31st, 1941, in Govan, Scotland, Ferguson's story is not just about trophies and triumphs. It is about relentless ambition, unbreakable discipline, and the transformation of English football itself. By the time he retired in 2013, he had built Manchester United into a global empire, won 38 major trophies, and created generations of footballers who became legends. Yet, his path wasn't carved in privilege or comfort. It was forged through struggle, resilience, and an undying hunger to win. From the streets of Glasgow to the grand stages of Europe, Sir Alex Ferguson's rise remains one of football's most inspiring tales, faith and ferocity that changed the game forever. Before the world knew him as Sir Alex, he was Alex Ferguson, the son of a shipyard worker from Govan, raised on hard work and grit. Growing up in post-war Scotland, he learned that success had to be earned, a lesson that shaped his fierce determination. He began as a forward for Queen's Park while working part-time in the docks, later shining at Dunfermline Athletic, where he became joint top scorer in the 1965-66 season. A move to Rangers followed, but it proved challenging and short-lived, teaching him resilience under pressure. Ferguson went on to play for Falkirk and Ayr United, showing leadership and scoring 171 goals in 317 games. Yet, even as a prolific striker, he sensed his destiny lay beyond the pitch. In 1974, at just 32, he retired from playing to begin his true calling, managing teams built in his own image of discipline, fire, and ambition. When Sir Alex Ferguson took over Manchester United in 1986, English football was ruled by others. Liverpool was dominant. Ferguson didn't aim just to compete with them. He wanted to overthrow their empires completely. He famously declared that his mission was to knock Liverpool off their effing perch, a line that became one of the most iconic quotes in football history, and a symbol of his burning ambition. At that time, Liverpool was everything Manchester United aspired to be. They had trophies, composure, and a winning culture. Ferguson saw them not as an obstacle, but as motivation. He built his philosophy around surpassing Liverpool, both in mentality and success. Every match against them became a personal test. He reminded his players what the rivalry meant, urging them to treat it as a war for pride. Slowly, his Manchester United began closing the gap. By the late 1990s, United were the dominant force in England. Ferguson had delivered on his promise. He had taken Liverpool's perch and built a higher one. The rivalry with Leeds United was different, fiercer in emotion and rooted in regional hostility. Leeds played with a level of aggression that reflected their fan base's energy. For Ferguson, these matches were pure battles. Then came Arsenal, a new kind of rival that tested Ferguson's adaptability. When Arsene Wenger arrived in the late 1990s, diet plans and a more fluid playing style. Arsenal's football was elegant, technical and disciplined. Ferguson's approach was fierce and driven by raw competitiveness. Their duels became legendary, defining the Premier League era. From tunnel standoffs to the Battle of Old Trafford, every clash had intensity and narrative. The rivalry wasn't just between clubs, it was between ideologies. Wenger's footballing philosophy pushed Ferguson to evolve, while Ferguson's resilience forced Arsenal to dig deeper. Behind these rivalries were personal tensions and grudges that sometimes lasted years. Ferguson's relationships with rival managers were often volatile. He and Kenny Dalglish, Liverpool's figurehead, had a famously cold relationship that extended well beyond the touchline. They barely spoke for years, fueled by pride and the competitive fire that drove them both. These rivalries defined Ferguson's journey. Liverpool forced him to dream bigger, and Arsenal challenged him to reinvent his tactics. Every argument, every cold handshake, and every moment of triumph shaped his character and strengthened his resolve. By the time his era peaked, Ferguson had faced them all and conquered them one by one. His Manchester United had become the most feared and successful club in England. Sir Alex Ferguson's legacy was defined by more than trophies. It was built on discipline, belief, and the unshakable idea that no one was bigger than the club. He ruled Manchester United with total authority, setting standards that demanded respect and commitment from every player who wore the badge. To Ferguson, football was not about fame or flash. It was about character, hard work, and an unrelenting desire to win. His management style was famously uncompromising. He controlled every detail, from tactics to training, player diets to locker room culture. To Ferguson, distractions were deadly. Focus was sacred. Yet beneath that iron exterior was a man of empathy and emotional intelligence. In 2005, when Cristiano Ronaldo's father passed away, Ferguson granted him compassionate leave without hesitation. He did not rush him back or pressure him about matches. That moment of understanding left a deep impression on Ronaldo.
I just have to say thank you for what you did for me. Especially when I remember the thing that I have more in my memory is the time when my father was sick in hospital, and we had in a tough moment of the season because we had important games in Champions League, in the league, and I say, coach, I need to go to see my daddy. And I was a key player, I was a very important player. And he said, listen, your family is the most important that you have in life. If you want to go 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, you can go. These moments is what I keep for me, because it was the most important moments in my life, and he shared with me. This is why I respect him, and for me, is the best coach I ever had.
Who would later describe Ferguson as a father figure, a man who shaped not just his career, but also his character. Ferguson's ability to balance ruthlessness with compassion made him an unparalleled leader. Jonathan Spector once recalled how Ferguson calmly told him after a poor performance, "You were effing useless the other night," but followed it with advice and belief in his potential. Patrice Evra remembered how Ferguson consoled Ji-sung Park after leaving him out of the 2008 Champions League final, showing that tough decisions did not erase compassion. His players feared him, but they also trusted him, because behind every stern lecture was a manager who cared deeply about his team. That blend of authority and humanity produced results that reshaped English football. His methods were not for everyone. He was ruthless, Keane said, but he made us winners. In 1999, Sir Alex Ferguson led Manchester United to an unprecedented treble, winning the Premier League, FA Cup and UEFA Champions League in the same season. The only English club to do so. The triumph, belief and leadership. That summer, Ferguson was knighted by Queen Elizabeth II in the Queen's Birthday Honours List, recognising his extraordinary impact on football and British sport. He had previously received the OBE in 1984 for his success with Aberdeen. The knighthood elevated him to national icon status, honouring the man who transformed Manchester United into a global powerhouse, inspired generations of players and reshaped football management. Sir Alex Ferguson's reign was a masterclass in leadership, a balance of fear and love, of control and compassion. He demanded excellence and inspired loyalty. He could be ruthless, yet profoundly human. And that duality, the hard edge of discipline and the heart of understanding, is what made him not just the greatest manager of his era, but arguably the greatest in football history. From the shipyards of Govan to the throne of Old Trafford, Sir Alex Ferguson's story is one of grit, vision, and relentless drive. He didn't just win trophies, he built belief. He shaped men, forged dynasties, and left a legacy that still burns bright at Manchester United. When he stepped down in 2013, he left more than silverware. He left the blueprint of greatness itself.